Let's talk about mindfulness. Mindfulness essentially involves the power of the fully present mind. The power of the mind is that it can change these neural networks. It can change the thought patterns. You can actually change your chemistry and your biology by changing what your mind is doing. There's a cool training that I did just about a year ago called an NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming. I learned a little bit about mindfulness when I did this training. The trainer, Richard K. Nongard, does quite a few of the trainings so that you can actually count them as credit for licensure and that type of thing. But he told a story of a boat trip he took. And I love this. I've used this analogy quite a few times, or this story, to kind of get a sense of what mindfulness is. So he was on a vacation. This is a real life story. He was in Indonesia or somewhere where there's a beach, but it's kind of primitive, there's actually people out there, fishermen, that's how they survive. And he was given a free trip on a fishing boat or some sort of boat he was going to go out on. So he thought, okay, I'll take this ride, and he goes down to the shore and starts getting ready for this ride. But he notices out on the horizon there's this huge black cloud. And he thought, maybe this isn't a good time to go, on a little excursion. And so he mentioned it to the boat captaineers, and they said, oh, we're, no big deal. We've done this our whole lives. We won't have a problem. It'll be fine. So he trusted him. He got on the boat, and they headed out there, and that storm came in, and it was a heavy storm, and it was powerful. And even the guys running the boat were scared. So Richard started to just freak out, and he was thinking, I'm going to die. I am going to die on this stupid boat. It wasn't even worth it. And his stress level went up, and the guy's stress level went up. I'm sure they're thinking we're responsible for this guy's life. And they just started a full freak out. And so he's engaging in this, and all of a sudden, splash, this huge, drop of whatever, of water. I don't know if it was rain or the sea, but it smacks him right in the eye. It just stuns him. It's kind of like getting that slap in the face when you're freaking out. He just stopped, and he just noticed what the feelings were, just the sensations of that. He just got in touch with what exactly that felt like. And then he went to, okay, what is it feeling like around me? My skin's completely wet, my clothes are drenched, and just got in touch with that feeling. And then he sat down and realized, okay, the bench under my seat is soaking wet, I'm sliding, or whatever. He just got in touch with every little minute moment of that experience, and he calmed down. He became more peaceful and just wrote it out. And as he did that, the guys kind of calmed down, and the storm lifted and went its way. And so that's when he began this practice of mindfulness. He realized how powerful it was. If it can change what you're experiencing in a life or death situation, it can change the non-life or death situations that most of us are getting caught up in. So the idea is that you shut off the verbal chatter and thoughts that are running in your head. That's the first step. And focus on your sensory system. So get in touch with the sounds, the textures, the smells. Smell the seawater, all that. Be right in the moment with those sensations. And it allows you to keep yourself present, and it also turns down that alarm system and clears that chaos that is going on around you. So it just kind of keeps you in a momentary state. So it's tricky. Some individuals become very skilled at staying in this mind frame consistently. And these are some of the people we're going to talk about today. One is Jack Kornfield. So he is one of the leading Buddhist teachers in America. He's one of the key teachers to introduce mindfulness and Eastern meditation in the West. His approach emphasizes compassion, loving kindness, and the profound path of mindful presence. Mindful presence. And this is from him. If you can sit quietly after difficult news, if in financial downturns you remain perfectly calm, if you can see your neighbors travel to fantastic places without a twinge of jealousy, if you can happily eat whatever is put on your plate and fall asleep after a day of running around without a drink or a pill, If you can always find contentment just where you are, you're probably a dog. But wouldn't that be nice? But think about it. Do dogs do this? Yes, they do. We're going to talk about how the animals are different than the people in a minute. But we are going to talk about Buddhism a little bit. Along with Hinduism, Buddhism is pretty much a foundation for most modern, the meditation practices that you see. The original Buddha is Gautama, and he was around 563 BC. Buddha means awakened one. I am so grateful for several dear friends who have generously shared ideas and resources with me. Just in the last week or two, as I've been planning this, friends have come along and just said, you got to look this person up, or you got to find this person. So they're brand new to me. So that's really fun. One is Ticht Nhat Hahn, and his website is iamhome.org. He is a wonderful example of this. He was nominated for the Peace Prize, I think, by Martin Luther King Jr., so he was really involved in all this, in the 60s and 70s, and still is. I believe he's still around and doing amazing things to change the planet. Another one is Pema Chodran. She's a Tibetan nun and author. So I'm going to tell a story that she uses. There is a story of a woman running away from tigers. She runs and runs, and the tigers are getting closer and closer. When she comes to the edge of a cliff, she sees some vines there. So she climbs down and holds onto the vines. Looking down, she sees that there are tigers below her as well. She then notices that a mouse is gnawing away at the vine to which she's clinging. She also sees a beautiful little bunch of strawberries close to her, growing out of a clump of grass. She looks up, she looks down, she looks at the mouse. Then she just takes a strawberry, puts it in her mouth, and enjoys it thoroughly. Tigers above, tigers below. This is actually the predicament that we are always in terms of our birth and death. Each moment is just what it is. It might be the only moment of our life. It might be the only strawberry we'll ever eat. We could get depressed about it, or we could finally appreciate it and delight in the preciousness of every single moment of our life. So, this is huge. It made me cry the first time I read it, and here it comes again. But yesterday, I was working on this, and my little girl wanted my attention, and I stopped. And it was very peaceful yesterday as I was working this. It was really cool. But I just stopped, and I just enjoyed the strawberries with her, literally. And so I took a little picture of that. But I had her pose for me, and she did a good job. But, we might have a jungle out there. But if we just focus on the strawberry, just be in the moment. Just be. I know that Western religions and lifestyles tend to miss the strawberries. Speaking of religions, one thing I found was amazing for LDS people might be interested in this. There is it's quite a long article called Buddhism in a 1972 enzyme, the June 1972 enzyme. And it's written by Dr. Palmer, a BYU professor and Korean mission president from back in the 70s, I guess. But he reviews history and the premise of Buddhism. There's some interesting, actually quite a few parallels. He mentions a couple, but I found a ton. I think they're all over the place. Whenever you find religion, you can definitely focus on the similarities rather than the differences. But one is Amita's heavenly realm. There's 3 stages of glory, and the idea is that you have to reach that 3rd stage to really reach God. That's an interesting thought and ties in with many of our beliefs. The Zen is another thing that he had a lot of interesting little tidbits on the Zen. So the Zen was developed 1,000 years after Buddha. It began in China. It really flourished in Japan. And so, I meant to bring out my little Zen gardens. But anyway, that's where they come from, is the Zen, of course. We've all seen some of those. But Enlightenment in Zen is not a rational or methodical process, and this comes from the article. Zen training in the characteristic cross-legged position and the teaching of the koans, or non-logical riddles, are designed to help the student to leap outside his customary paths of thought and to experience the universe of original, eternal, and absolute being. Knowing ourselves is a part of the absolute oneness. Ego disappears, and problems of ego, sin, pain, poverty, fear are all expected to dissolve. Once a person has gained this state of satori, he is expected to be aware that all living things share equally in the eternal. Essentially, nothing exists outside the mind. Our salvation is an experience of enlightenment that consists of discovering the divine within. And also finding unity with the diversity all around us. All right, so a student asked a Zen monk, "What happens after we die?" The Zen monk answers, "I don't know." Well, the student was upset. "What do you mean? You're the master. You're the Zen monk." The Zen monk replied, "Yes, I am the Zen monk, but not a dead one." So, they don't have all the answers either. There are some amazing things in these Eastern philosophies that are really quite powerful in incorporating into our crazy lives, I think, and that will allow us to find some balance.